workout clothes and all. Um, I'm just I needed to add this in because I didn't put this thought in the last video I made about the poke. Okay. So what we established in last video, the poke or the V, what we can really actually call it is what it actually truly is: a medical trial, a clinical trial. A synonym for trial you can look up on your own is experiment, right? It's an experiment. I'm not against medical trials. I'm not against experimentation. We need to experiment. We must have medical trials in order to find out other shit that we don't currently know right now. That's like if I go to the doctor and I say, Doc, man, I need help. I am desperate. I need you to take a couple inches off my dick. It's too big. Every time I fuck my wife or my girlfriends, they hemorrhage. I've almost killed all of them. Help, I'm desperate. And the doc says, you know what? There's nothing I can actually do. Oh, there is a medical trial. There's a new drug that just opened a trial. If you want to try it, you can. I'll explain what we know so far could be, things you need to look out for and what we hope to accomplish with this trial. Okay, fine. Either I choose, if I'm desperate, some people have been in situations where they're like, you know what? Fine, I will. It's either that or death, right? Like in certain situations, right? There's an experimental drug, and it's either you wish it on a star or you die, you know? And in that case, it's like, well, fuck. At the best, it'll work. At the worst part of me, kill me. So either way, it looks like there's a good chance I'm gonna die, you know. But having another seemingly option. So I'm all for medical trials and shit. But am I the only one that sees this is the first time in history? This is a fucking global medical trial. See, that's where the fucking problem is. So you're telling me that, and you could see, like, imagine your head is in a vice, right? One of those things that, like, you turn them and they squish. You could feel the pressure in society now. It's palpable, especially around the poke. And it's like, why so much? Why you pressuring me, bruh? Are you telling me that I can't? God, I look like a fucking mess up on this shit. I look like Hillbilly Jack, yo. Um, are you telling me that I can't travel to another country? I can't travel to your country unless I submit myself to this medical trial, medical experiment. Are you telling me that I can't work at certain places and that's going to grow the locations and all that shit? They're going to try that. Unless I submit myself to this medical experiment? Are you going to say that my kids cannot go to school, public school, or even some private schools, unless I submit them to this medical experiment? You know, I had to get the polio vaccine in order to go to school. The polio vaccine actually fucking works. There is almost a century of data that shows it works. Polio has virtually been eradicated. I mean, it's like non existent. So, why all the pressure and the almost like a virtual gun to your head? That's my question for you to ask yourself. I'm not speculating anything. I'm just asking a question that I would like you to ask yourself. Why all this pressure over a medical experimentation? Because that's what it is. It's a medical trial. Yes, you are technically going to trial for a vaccination. I would almost kind of say it's immature to call this an actual vaccination because, to my knowledge, there is no data that exists that actually even shows that this shit is even somewhat effective. If we're going to keep it all the way real right now, the best, the best, the best they can say to you is we ain't sure. We hope, we think it's going to do this. But when you start making mandatory, you trying to swing your balls around and make shit mandatory, like this is Mando, you got to do this, you know? Am I the only one who personally feels a problem with that? I could see if you can clearly demonstrate to the majority of the population that for the majority of the population, yeah, this shit will work. Just like with the analogy with the polio vaccine. You don't think there was people that died from that because they themselves personally, you know, maybe tomorrow I go and get a polio shot and there's something in the polio shot that I was not aware of that I was allergic to. I die. You go and get the polio shot tomorrow and maybe your arm's sore, but it works for you. And you might be a better representation of the majority. That's just life. I'm not against that. You know, in anything, there's going to be that percentage of people that shit is either doesn't work for or that it even has a very negative or, you know, fatal effect to. That's life. I'm not against that. You know, but I spoke about mind control and all that shit. That's where it comes into place. Like, because even though it's not directly being said, in my opinion, when I look at all this shit, it is definitely being strongly implied that this poke is going to help you. This poke will save you. That is the subliminal communication, the implication. And I just couldn't help but ask, like, where in the fuck do they do that at? Where? Oh, in this matrix that you and I are a part of. So I just wanted to clarify that, you know. But shout out to each and every one of you. Most likely, you're not watching my video if you don't somewhat think